You're tuned in to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast.
Welcome back to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast. I'm your host, Lenore. This is the place where we help educate and build influence while making an impact on many lives. So remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. When the coronavirus outbreak started, it forced the arts and the whole entertainment industry to close their doors. Even now, with theaters closed, performers are on hold and they actually have no idea when they're going to be able to hit the stage again. However, that has not stopped Master Teacher of Ballet Lenore Pavlakos Morales from dancing and training her students. She had to adapt to her teaching methods to an online and virtual platform. Lenore is a graduate of the Julliard School and a former principal dancer of the dance theater Harlem, where she traveled and performed all over the world. Now, aside from teaching dancers of all ages and of all levels, Lenore has judged many dance competitions and is a certified teacher of Floor-Barre. Lenore, welcome to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast.
Hi, Lenore. Thanks for having me.
So, out of all styles of dance, right? Why ballet? Why did you really gravitate towards that?
I think it's because my mom took me to a performance in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, and there was a company dancing at Gillespie Ballet at the time, and I saw these beautiful dancers moving on the stage outdoors, and I thought, how fabulous. I was taking ballet, tap, and jazz, and I think I just wanted to concentrate on ballet since then.
So you said goodbye to tap, say goodbye to jazz?
Goodbye to tap and jazz, yeah. They weren't my forte anyway.
So what specific style of ballet do you perform? Because I know that people do a lot of classical, they can do some modern. What's your expertise?
I would say classical ballet with a little bit of more neoclassical as well. Now, the contemporary dance of today is different than in my time. It was considered...
What was it considered?
It was considered...
Not the right style of dance?
Lyrical. No, it was a fusion of taking the classical ballet. So you take off the tutu, you put on a longer skirt, or you put on a form-fitting leotard or unitard, and you dance.
So what are some of the benefits of ballet for somebody who doesn't per se wants to become a ballerina, but who just wants to take the classes because they thoroughly enjoy the art?
Well, okay, the first thing people think about when they hear ballet, they think young children, they think grace, poise, posture, but there's the cognitive development that's really important, an important aspect for all people that study dance movement, because the brain really fires up. You have to use your body, your muscles, but you also have to do things to the right and to the left. You have to coordinate it with music and steps, and you put it all together, and it's quite challenging, and you find that you just become better at things because of it.
What are some of the obstacles you faced from starting at such a younger age to going to Julliard and then with the dance theater Harlem performing all over the globe?
Obstacles. Wow, there's always obstacles in the performing arts field because it's you never stop learning. You always have to challenge yourself to be better, and so once you start, you get into that place as a beginner where you learn a certain amount of information and you feel very confident. And then when you move to the intermediate level, then you realize you don't know as much. And it becomes kind of this gray period where you're still trying to figure out how to execute the moves, how to make it look fluid. Once you get past that gray period, you get into that more advanced stage where you get to perform. Performing is really ultimately what everybody wants to do. If you want to dance, you want to be out there and get a chance to showcase all of that hard work that you've had, that you've put in all those years.
Do you have a specific song that you thoroughly enjoy dancing to, or a specific routine that even after all these years is stuck in your head?
I wouldn't say a specific song. There's a composer, Bach Violin Concerto. So there's a George Balanchine ballet called Concerto Barocco. And whenever that particular piece of music comes on, like the steps come flooding back, and you just all of a sudden you just want to like jump up and take your arms up and start doing the movements.
Now, out of all the different performances that you've had, which one has really stood out to you the most?
Of all the performances that I've had?
Yeah, we're going all the spans of years.
That's a lot of years. Okay, I have to say...
Because you have some here and you have some overseas as well.
Well, one in particular happened both here in the United States and abroad. So the one that stands out the most is Lincoln Center, George Balanchine again, Serenade. It's a classic ballet, 18 women in long blue flowing tutus. and I got to dance the waltz girl section in that. My image was also on the poster that flew above Lincoln Center for that venue in New York City. So that was a very special moment for me. But before I reached that principal status with the Dance Theater of Harlem, we actually danced this ballet throughout the United States, throughout the world. And when we were in Greece at the Herod Atticus, this is the big amphitheater that's from Roman times. Stone theater, seats up to 6,000 people, outdoor, acoustics amazing. The person in the audience can speak, and we can actually hear them if they speak without a microphone. It's outstanding. But to step on that stage, under the skylight, under the night sky, and just look up and see the Acropolis above you is amazing. So that was another memorable moment in that same ballet that I danced here in the United States and abroad.
What other countries have you performed in? So we got Greece and we got all the United States.
All of the United States, Greece, China, Turkey, well, where else?
Was it hard to adapt
Europe.
to those different cultures when you were over there?
Absolutely, a little bit. Well, okay, let me go back. China was the most challenging for me. I've never been in a country where I felt totally foreign. There were no, it's all characters on the walls. So when you go out and you sightsee, you're completely lost if you don't know the characters.
It's hard to do like the translations of any of that.
Absolutely. Germany, we danced at the Autostadt. It's the place where the Volkswagen has its hub where it makes all of its vehicles. And they erected a stage inside a warehouse. And the Germans, it's the first time I experienced, instead of applause at the end of a production, they stomped their feet really loud. And it was kind of a shock. And then once we got off stage and our director said, oh yeah, we should have, reminded you guys that they're going to be like stomping their feet as opposed to applauding.
So how was the transition from being the performer to going behind the scenes and now teaching other performers?
It's a transition, not for everyone. I embraced it. I felt that I had the good fortune to work with a lot of wonderful pioneers in the dance world. And when I was at the Dance Theater of Harlem, Arthur Mitchell, the director of the company, brought me in to start teaching. So I was asked to attend pedagogy classes. And so I can get a better understanding of the foundations of the movements of ballet, classical ballet. And I felt that gave me a really strong foundation. He also guided me to teaching young children, and I taught as a master teacher on the road as well when I was traveling with the company. Now I teach all ages, from 7-year-olds up to
70-year-old.
70s, yeah, there you go, 7 to 70s.
Anybody who actually just wants to just come and really just express themselves.
Absolutely.
Now, with today's time of not being able to actually be in a studio, how is the transition for you to bring everything virtually to your students, and not just for them to learn, but for you to teach over a webcam?
Well, first off, it's two-dimensional. So that totally changes the perspective when you're teaching. You can't walk around the student, you can't adjust the body to correct them, to properly place them. But you still have that connection. Once you've worked with the individuals, you know their personalities, mm-hmm. and you can see their tendencies, and they all embraced being able to dance. I think most important was not about how much space you had, was just the ability to get back doing the thing that you love.
For those who are at home that may not have a full-on bar set, yeah. What alternatives do you have for those individuals to use?
We have the lovely chair. We have the kitchen counter.
The banister.
The fireplace. You can pretty much set yourself up anywhere. You just have to make sure that you have enough space around you, that you're not going to kick and break something. And the surface. It's preferable to have a solid, like a floor or tile over a rug.
How do you inspire and motivate any of your students with a variety of different ages? Because I know that trying to teach a 7-year-old versus trying to teach a 70-year-old, the mentalities are way different, especially with the levels of expertise that they have.
Well, for young kids, I think it's really important that we use imagery. So you start with basic motor skills, running, skipping, hopping, jumping, And then when you ask them to look out, you don't just have them stare at the wall. You think they think of something beautiful. Look up to the right and see the sun shining brightly. You look to the left and look up, and maybe you can envision a mountain of ice cream flowing, something that makes them smile, something that inspires them to have expression in their movement.
So not just in the movement, should dancers have expression throughout their face as well? Or should it just be throughout their body?
Artistic expression.
Is that the correct terminology?
That's what I love to say, artistic expression, because that's the beauty of live dance or live performance in all across the board, music, art. You want to bring to the forefront a reflection of you, and there's only one of you. So I think artistic expression is the individual showing themselves to their fullest.
When you do teach and you have judged a bunch of different types of dance competitions, what do you really look for in a performer that's on stage?
Dance competitions are challenging because there's so many wonderful dancers. And sometimes they're doing the same music. They're using the same music, but they're different steps. There's just a thing, when somebody has something special, your eye immediately moves to it. So as a smaller group, you can see the standouts in the group and how they bring a certain energy to the whole group, and that elevates the level of the performance.
Is that anything that can be taught, or is that kind of one of those things that you're born with and you know that, like, the confidence that's there?
I think that most of the times people are born with that special thing. That's why they gravitate to
like that
their
pizzazz.
thing. Yeah, their thing. That's what makes them special. But we always say in the dance world, 50% is hard work and dedication, and then 50% is talent. So you have a chance. You if you're going to put in the time and the effort, you can get there. You just have to really want it.
With theater and dancing and everything as a whole not being open right now, where do you see the industry kind of going within the next couple months or even years on styles of performances?
This is a sad time right now, because we don't know when we'll actually be able to get back into a theater. Dance requires being close to one another, requires touching for partnering work. There's a lot of sweat going on, tight spaces. I think that we're probably going to be off for a while and come back slowly. Virtual is taking over right now. A lot of companies are showing former footage of performances from the past and how they've developed over the years to the new cast performing. You can see the difference in the dancers. The way that they performed in the 80s is different than the way they perform in the 2000s.
And what are some of your favorite moments with dancing? If you can pin out some of the coolest experiences, not just performances, but the life-changing experiences that you've had over the years.
Well, I think I was really fortunate to work with an international touring company. That in itself was a gift to visit different countries, learn the different cultures, see dance of the countries. Whenever we toured, we would always go to performances of local
groups.
Yeah, local groups. And you can see how movement just brings a joy to everybody, and that you can take any movement and show how ballet is applied to it.
So we all know you're a pro ballerina. Get it. What other dances or other dance styles do you thoroughly just enjoy dancing to for fun?
I do. I enjoy tap. I've taken some lessons since I've retired from performing. Jazz, I just was not my thing, so I kind of stayed away from that. A little bit of flamenco. I studied flamenco dance, which I think was wonderful. The use of castanets, the rhythms, the zapateado, the footwork. Mm-hmm. Really, I enjoy that.
What advice do you have for anybody who is trying to break into the theater world or the dance world, no matter what age they are right now?
I think that you have to want to dance. So once you enter the arena, know that it's not going to be easy, and that if you want to be successful, if your goal is to be a performer, you have to put in the time. You have to practice all the time. You have to watch footage of previous dancers. Decide what genre of dance you want to attack, because we can be good at many different things, but to be a master, you really have to focus on one.
How did you actually focus growing up with kids? We all have like distractions, going to friends, hanging out at dances, going to the park, things like that. Did you choose ballet sometimes over some of those experiences?
Yes, absolutely. By the time I was in high school, I would finish school, get on the train, take 3 trains to get to the dance studio. So basically, I was on the train doing homework, sewing my point shoes, and by the time I finished classes, I came home, and that was pretty much it. And then taking classes on the weekends as well.
Oh, so you were doing it all?
Full time.
With sleep.
Immersion.
And school.
Of course, and sleep and school. Yep.
I know you do have a fun presidential story of you being a dancer and meeting somebody, so can you please tell us all about it?
Yes. We were dancing. I was with the Dance Theater of Harlem. We were dancing at the Apollo Theater. It was a festival that was going on, and we heard that President Bill Clinton was in the house. And we were doing a piece called Return, choreographed by Robert Garland to James Brown and Aretha Franklin music. So we had this pretty scanty little costume on. It was a lot of fun movement. And we finished the segment, ran off stage, and then somebody came up to me and said, "We need you to meet the president." And so they took 4 dancers, and we ran back out to this little corner on the stage, and they were like, "No, go back, put some clothes on. You can't meet the president like that." So we had to throw a little sweater on because it was inappropriate to be with our shoulders.
And he was the president at the time.
He was the president at the time. So it was a big deal to have the president come on. I have a picture with him.
That's cool.
It is very cool.
That should really be framed,
nice.
somewhere in the house.
You're
when
right.
people walk in, you're like, "Look at me."
I should.
Yeah, it's a bragging right. It's a bragging right. So if anybody wants to take any of your classes virtually, you offer them, correct?
I'm offering classes virtually.
Great. And it's all at your website, LenorePavlakos.com?
Yep, you can log on there, check out the site. There's a place where you can go and send a message to me or contact me if you're interested in any classes or any information about what's going on.
You're doing some privates and some groups. So if I wanted to say join and be like, "You're doing a little group class," do I have to fit into the levels that you're teaching? Do you have some of those that are built out?
Well, I think for private lessons, sometimes people that want to start ballet that have never really done it or haven't done it in many years, they often contact me about doing a private lesson to, kind of get a refresher. And I offer that virtually. And then we have some group classes that are going on.
Perfect. LenorePavlakos.com, and you can get all of the information there. Thank you so much for joining us. And any last minute words of advice you'd like for the listeners to hear?
I always like to tell this quote to my students. A French philosopher, Voltaire, said, "Better is the enemy of good." So never be satisfied with just being good. You have to strive to be better, because better is over there, fighting for you, but good is saying, you did enough, you don't have to do any more. So that's what I like to pass on.
And we'll leave it with that quote. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode of the Brand Ambassador Select podcast. Head over to brandambassadorselect.com for more information as well. I'm your host, Lenore, and we will see you next time.